Hey YouTubers, Mac here with Mac's Gym. This is my latest edition. I finally joined the rowing gang. I don't know if you call this a boat, what you call it. I guess you call it a rower. But it's from Sunny Health and Fitness. It was about 500 and got like 10% off on it. I think it was $540 with tax and everything. I don't know much about rowers. You know, the concept rower is the one everybody raves about, but I didn't want to spend $1,200. So, got this. It's got the double rails for the seat. The seat feels pretty smooth. I put it together last night. I don't know all the functions yet, so I'm not going to try to pretend I know what I'm doing there. But I can get on. This has a steel cage around the fan. The fan blades are metal, and I don't know if they're carbon. I think it's called carbon. Could just be because it's black. I don't know. Sunny Health and Fitness would have to respond to that. But I'll put the dimensions and everything on. But the dimensions and all the basic stuff are available on the website. I know I was close to buying a Murtisol rower off Amazon. The only thing on it was it said that there's not a whole lot of resistance, but people generally liked it. So I was surprised last night just playing with it that you actually do get tired in a short amount of time on one of these, even though it doesn't feel like you're in full-on cardio mode like sprinting or running. So get in here closer. There's the steel fan. Now when I put it together, I pretty much just had to put the dolly cross member on the front that has the little urethane rollers. I had to mount that. The front end of the unit was pretty well assembled already. It was assembled. The only thing, like I had the handle already hooked on and it was functioning. I had to mount the console on it, which there's 4 screws on the back of the console, so if you're looking for them, they're already in the back of the console. You back those screws out and you use those to mount it on your mounting plate. You had to put the plastic foot pads on with the straps. There's a little shroud around the double bar here on the front. It has some screw holes right there. There's actually, I think there was 4 screws there. Took some manipulating to get a couple of the screws in there, but it really wasn't difficult. The seat, you'll back those 2 screws out right there, and of course that little U-shaped plastic cosmetic thing on there, that isn't on there, that's part of the packaging. It's in your packaging when you get it. You have to mount that base plate for the back end cross member. There's 4 bolts on that, and there's 2 little rubber nubs under there that I guess the seat would back up against to keep you from going back too far, although it doesn't go past those catch screws either. You have to mount those 4 bolts to hold that back pedestal cross member on the legs, and those 2 rubber nubs. The 2 top screws go back in. They're originally in it when you get it, but you have to take them out in order to get the seat carriage on there, and then you put those screws back in when you put the seat on, and then you'll mount that cosmetic piece, and there's a screw underneath of that clamps down. There's a little metal bracket on the end that plastic cosmetic piece screws into. Pretty basic. Took maybe 30 minutes to put it together, and that was using their tools because I was too lazy to go up to the garage and get my own tools out of the toolbox, which would have probably saved 10 minutes. But yeah, it was really easy assembly. I did have to look at the directions a little bit, and I'll have to look at the directions in order to learn all the functions. It has 16 resistance modes, although the feedback I've heard on almost all the magnetic resistance rowers is the resistance sometimes is not accurate as far as your setting. So I'll have to try that myself and see how that works out. But it looks like a nice rower. It feels like a nice rower in my hands. It does not have a chain on the grips. It has nylon strap. I've already been lucky enough to use it for 30 minutes last night, playing around on and off. So I'm not one of those people that posted saying I jacked the handle up the rower in the first 30 minutes that I had it. So, but that's not saying I won't run into any difficulties. I'm just saying that I put it together and the assembly was pretty straightforward. And it appears to be a decent rower for its type. It's not a full-on air resistance rower. It's a magnetic air resistance rower. It does throw a little bit of wind at you, and it makes that whirring wind sound when you row, so that's kind of nice feedback while you're working out. And I'll try it out. Don't expect me to have proper form and function right now because, again, took it out of the box last night and I've never been on one of these before. But there's plenty of online content, rowing classes, rowing instruction, a lot of rowing stuff online, a lot of rowing reviews on different pieces of equipment even. So I'll give you a different view of this and move the camera a little bit. So these foot pads up here, they have two Allen head screws in them that mount. Straps are already on them. There's a steel bracket behind that plate. That bracket has two bolts under the carriage that go up into the frame. And then there's two bolts, one on each side of the frame, that hold that bracket on. Once the bracket's there, and the bracket's wrapped up in the box when you get it, so you have to mount it. And this shroud right here, this little black plastic, is off. There's a couple screws. There's one on the bottom, one on the top, bottom one on the other side, on the right-hand side, top on the left, and then there's a bottom screw on each, or it's actually about center in the plastic covering. Those were the two hardest screws to put in there because the steel bracket is a little ways behind it, so use a magnetic Phillips head, which is not provided in the box. But that will save you some time dropping screws inside that carriage and having to fish them out. This, the row handle, this rower is already ready to go. You just take the plastic wrap off, and there's foam wrap around here. There's a nice little, it's needed, I mean, the steel bracket here that's notched out for the rower handle that just rests in when it retracts. AC adapter plugs in on the right-hand side forward of the unit, so if you're looking around, where does this AC adapter plug in? Look at the front of the unit towards the base, not on the cross member, but on the front of the unit itself. Follow the fan leg down, and it's on the right-hand side as you're facing it. See? It's pretty quiet, and it's pretty comfortable. It's just a dense rubber pad seat. It has the little Sunny Fitness logo on the back. So to use the Velcro straps, I'm not sure how long those last, but it'll last as long as the Velcro holds, I guess. The strap itself, pretty easy to use. You just pull it open, get some tension on there. So I'm not going to do a whole lot here because I'm just trying to show it. Console's here. The console has the time, has your pulse, calorie count, distance, strokes, and SPM, strokes per minute. So I'll have to read up on that. I haven't used it enough to know what I'm doing with that. I did watch last night. The guy was just doing basic beginner, so legs straight, get some arm rowing in like 20 strokes. Then started. So that's just it, guys. I haven't went through the resistance levels. Again, there's 16 resistance levels on this, and it's magnetic resistance. The fan is blows wind and gives it an actual fan rower sound to it, although I really think the fan is cosmetic. I like it. I like that whirring wind sound when I'm doing it for the resistance, even though the resistance isn't coming from that. You do have a iPad holder up here, but I have a 60-inch TV in front of me that I plan to use. I looked online and on YouTube there's all kinds of videos of people rowing on a lake, so if you just want to get on your rower and put some tunes on and have a visual of you being on a lake, you can do that, or you can watch whatever you want. I probably won't always watch rowing on a lake. You do get out of breath after a while. This is especially, I just did this guy's beginner rowing exercise last night. I know I'm not up to speed on rowing. I had like 30 minutes on it last night, and that was 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there after I assembled it. Haven't really used it today other than this video, but you do get out of breath. Even I'm not sure what setting I'm on right now, even as far as resistance, but I was getting winded last night just doing his beginner rowing, and it is like low impact. It doesn't feel like I'm doing a lot, but I'm getting tired, so it's all the only way I can really explain it. You will too, especially if you incorporate. He was doing a lot of just lock your legs and do arm strokes just to get some resistance exercise in, and that without stopping and then going back into the regular rowing. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with it. I'm going to mix it in. I also have another Sunny Health piece of equipment. It's a spin bike, so between the two I'm going to do a little spin bike and some rowing to kind of break things up a little bit. Hopefully this works out for me in my weight room here. This is my basement. Again, straps. Some people commented on some of the other rowers about the foot angle of their pads. Doesn't seem to be a problem with this one. So again, so you can see at 5'10", legs stretched out. Of course, I'm only 32 inseam, 33 inseam, so but you have another probably 5-6 inches of room back there. So if you're, I'd say up to 6'3", 6'4", you're probably in good shape with this. I'm not sure beyond that, maybe 6'5". I'd have to measure how far I am from the end. I'd say it's a good 10 inches. So probably up to, probably a good height. You're okay with this machine. So I do need to read up on the console. From what I understand, it's pretty basic console. So as far as the I don't expect it to take that long for me to learn to set up the strokes and reset. Let's see if this is going to read here. Yeah, all I did was press start and it starts, and it's counting strokes per minute. I don't have my pulse. It does have the pulse, again, the pulse reader on here. This thing has supposedly there's electrodes inside that rubber, so when you first get it, if it doesn't work, you have to put some moisture on the back of this and mount it just like they show it in the owner's manual that came with it. So mine, when it was dry, was not working, but I did like they said and moisturized the back of it. Started reading my pulse right away when I did that. And again, all kinds of videos online for content to watch while you're rowing, as far as classes, as far as just scenery and stuff. And I plan to do that more than anything, but it does have the iPad mount up here, or phone mount. You could video chat with people while you're trying to get yourself out of breath if you like, or maybe you could both be rowing and row together. I don't know, but I got this unit for my weight room. Price range on it again was, I think it was around $540 with tax and everything, because I found it 10% off deal online, and it was already reduced like $100. So it seems like a pretty good unit. I don't know a lot about rowers. I only know the Concept 2 rower is the one that everybody talks about, but it's also gone up in price, and it's like one of the most expensive rowers right now. And I looked at a couple cheaper rowers online, and I don't know why, I just decided to go with this unit. I like the idea that it had the fan along with the magnetic resistance, and had good reviews on the Sunny Health and Fitness website. I didn't see any reviews on Amazon. I don't know if Amazon even sells this exact unit yet. They do have a magnetic resistance with a fan on Amazon. It's slightly less expensive than this, and maybe a little different. From what I can see, it doesn't have the shroud cosmetic attachments on it and stuff. It's just a basic steel frame, but beyond that, it may be the same unit. As far as I know, it got pretty good reviews also. So again, the mounting that you had to do out of the box was that cosmetic little U-shaped cap on the end. Has one screw that screws into a steel frame that are on. It's built into that slide rod. You had to put the back leg on there, which is all one piece. There's 4 bolts underneath the carriage, and you'll put those 4 bolts in. There's 2 rubber, I call them snubs, they're stoppers, whatever they are. There's 2 of those that have 2 screws that screw into the bottom of that carriage. Those 2 silver screws, little button screws on the top that you see, those have to be backed out in order to get the seat carriage on. Seat carriage is separate in the box, it's not mounted. Although the seat carriage is already assembled, so there is no assembly to the seat carriage itself. You just back those 2 screws out so that it'll fit on the track. Once you put the carriage on, which I put the logo to the back, I believe that's the way it goes, and put the button screws back in. There's the plastic shroud covering the 2 carriage bars. That shroud is loose in the box also. I mean, it's wrapped in plastic, but there's screws for that, and you'll put those 2 shell pieces around the slide rods and mount the screws. There's 2 screws that are kind of difficult. Again, they're better to use a magnetic Phillips head than the Phillips head that came with the unit. I used the tools that were in the box because I was lazy, so I didn't want to go upstairs. The frame for the seat pads, again, has 2 bolts underneath the carriage, and then there's 2 bolts that mount to the side to mount the steel frame that those pads screw in. There's 2 Allen head screws that mount the pads onto that frame. Once you've mounted the frame, you put that shell on, and again, for the front of the unit, there's a cross member. When you get it out of the box, there's kind of a cardboard roller tube that's the bolts are already mounted in it, and I guess that's just to hold it steady in the packaging in the box. You take that little cardboard roller tube off, you back the bolts out that came with that. You use those 2 bolts to mount the steel cross member on. It has your little roller carriage dollies on it. The console has a little steel frame that it's mounted to. The cable that you plug the console into has a rubber band so that it doesn't fall down into this steel tube right here. So it's easy to see when you get it out of the box, and then you mount the connector from the console to the connector that's coming out of that bracket. These 4 screws on the back here are mounted inside of the console when you get it out of the box. So you back those screws out and use those same screws to mount this steel plate on the back of the unit. Pretty easy setup. When you're rowing, the unit kicks on. You push start. Once you press start, then it counts your strokes. On the front of the unit, right hand side is that AC. I don't know if you can see it down there, but right hand side bottom of the fan, there's a support coming down below the fan. It's on that support. You'll see a little round silver adapter plugging. That's where you plug your adapter. This is the holder for your handle. Straps on the pad. Just pull the straps, put your feet in. Seat pad. At least new out of the box. It's nice and quiet.